r/AskReddit. Introverted guys, how did you meet your girlfriend? Through my realtor. I was basically single for the first 32 years of my life. Decided I wanted to buy a house and met my realtor at a random open house. It took me 2 years looking off and on. Before I put in an offer. By the end of it, my realtor said she just helped a single girl buy a house and wanted to set us up on a blind date. 4 years later, we've now been married for 1.5 years and our realtor was our officiant. Life is weird. My fiance is super introverted, but his parents are extroverts, and I work with them both. The first thing out of his mom's mouth was, "You should meet my son, he's cute." He came to our site for lunch with them every Wednesday and they invited me weekly for months, and he would just sit there while the three of us talked. Then finally one day I was telling his dad I was going to trivia with my friends, and he said his son would love to go. And I remember saying, "Oh really? He would." But he came. So that was over 5 years ago and now we are getting hitched. I trained her at work doing patient transfer. Even if you're introverted, 12-hour shifts in a pair for 5 days is a good way to get to know each other. Met her at the gym. We met. She suddenly started showing up right around the same time to do cardio with me because it makes the time go by faster. After several weeks of this, she finally said, "Are you gonna ask me out or what?" And we've been married for going on 30 years. I'd be single to this day had she not made that comment. She walked up to me at a Halloween dance put on as a joint venture between our university anime club and the alternative religion kids. She walked up to me and opened the conversation with, "You're cute. We are gonna dance now." That will be 20 years ago on October 23rd. I only remember the exact date because I researched it and had the star pattern overhead that night etched into the box for the ring I proposed with. Met her on a ski lift. We were both singles, got to talking. I was a local and she wasn't, so I offered to show her some cool runs. That was 3 years ago. Made a very clumsy dating profile. She liked my pics, not only because of my face, but also because I didn't shy away from showing some hobbies. She read my poor, tactless text and thought, "This is either a dumb jerk or he's autistic." Combined with the pictures, I'd say autistic and nerdy. Could be my type. Now we are married with our own property, 2 doggies and expecting a baby. My extroverted friend invited me over to his house, but also invited her and her extroverted friend over without telling me. I was in Home Depot one afternoon picking up an order, drywall, to continue building my house. Well, they said it was gonna take them a bit to get the forklift to it from the back and to put it on my trailer. So I went wandering around. When I was at the back wall checking out the clearance stuff, I hear a commotion and a clacking sound. I turn towards the sound and there is this red husky running at full speed. So I crouched down, and as it went to run past, I scooped it off the ground. It just went limp and looked at me. My husky, Dutch, would do the same thing if you picked him up. So here I am, holding this dog, who is now licking my face. I'm laughing hysterically. This lovely woman comes out of an aisle and is looking at me strangely while I'm effectively soaked with slobber. That's fine. We had a small conversation about how I had a husky. Her dog's name was Alice. She thanked me for catching her dog, and she grabbed the leash, and they left to wherever. No idea what her name was. Fast forward about 10 minutes and I see Alice wandering around on her own. I called her name and she woos at me, waits for me to get closer and takes off down an aisle. When I turned the corner to the aisle, I saw the lady had passed out in an aisle. I called 911. She was breathing, had a pulse, but definitely unconscious, but no visible injuries. EMTs arrived in like a minute, since they were literally next door, and took her to the ER. I gave the EMTs my phone number, name, and address and wrote, Home Depot guy, next to it. Told them to have her, or whoever her next of kin was, come get Alice whenever, but that she was safe. She came by the next morning to get Alice, and I of course invited her into what was an active construction site that I lived in. She was a little weirded out by the strange interior of my house, until I explained about how I wasn't done building it. She explained that her passing out was a side effect of the medication she was on at the time. I walked her through the house. She laughed that my bedroom was the garage, and my kitchen was a fish cleaning table hooked up to a hose on the back porch, and I cooked everything on my grill. But when I explained my vision, she gave design critiques. Turns out she was an interior designer. Anyhow, she basically demanded that she take me out for dinner, to repay calling 911 and making sure Alice was taken care of. I call her before I put in design element to the house, flooring, cabinets, sinks, countertops, etc. So she came by the house a lot after that. So did Alice. Dutch and I were pretty happy with that arrangement. The rest they say is history. That was almost 15 years ago. She, wife now, pestered me over the internet until I agreed to go to the local pier with her. At first I thought she was a catfish after something cause she 1. Contacted me first, 2. Was hot in the pictures she showed me, and 3. Was insistent on meeting in person as soon as possible after only talking for a few days. All of this to be friends. At first she only ever talked about wanting to find a friend. We were at a party around November, my group full of extroverts that adopted me made me go after a long time of non-stopping telling me to go with them. I accept. Now I'm not fond of going into parties or events like that, but what was I supposed to do if they didn't stop annoying me to go? Okay, let's continue. And after 10 to 15 minutes of shyfully following them around the place, I sit in a nearby tree, and then I see her. One of the group saw the opportunity and made us present. It turns out she is also an introvert, and has the same history as why is she their same friends and all. And after some minutes we lock eyes and we both made click at first sight. After that we both split from the group and went on our own adventure around. We literally spent the whole time together without leaving each other's side, not even for one moment. I never met a person this perfect. I love her so much. She got me out of a dark time. We met playing Modern Warfare 2 in 2010. We were on the trailer park map and I noticed how good of a player she was. Next map was Skid Row, and I sent her a message randomly to shoot my shot. She answered back, and we started playing more matches together. She was cracked at Halo 3 and had her 4-shot BR down, while I was running around in matches with her MLG wannabe friends doing total noob shit like getting cheap melee kills because I sucked lol. The next year, in 2011, we decided to meet finally, and I did the first brave thing in my life and flew out to her. She could have been a serial killer trying to harvest my sweet duodenum or something. Mind you, this was before Tinder and online relationships were still seen as sketchy. Luckily she was gorgeous, and we hit it off really quick. We spent the week together being a goofy 20/21-year-old couple who didn't know WTF they were doing. Her family were huge assholes who were abusive towards her, and on my last night there, they got really bad towards her. So at the last moment we decided to bring her back home with me. We took a cab, and he had nothing going on, so he gave us a tour of downtown Chicago, where we saw all the cool sights at night, which was neat. I barely had any money left, so I had to give him a ton of change that I had remaining. We stayed in a Greyhound station all night, where my family bought her an extra ticket. We combined our luggage in a way where we didn't have to pay extra, and found dog shit in her bag that was presumably put there by her little brother as a final middle finger. We got on the bus that morning and I fell asleep on her boob, remembering seeing the Chicago skyline disappear into the distance. We woke up later in Indiana and didn't have enough money for food really, so I bought her a burger at BK and they gave me a free small soda, which was nice. Got back on the bus and passed out again. Woke up in Cleveland and waited for the last bus home. I spent my last change on a pack of Grandma's peanut butter cookies to hold us over. We shared one cookie each, and to this day I'll still get some to share with her sometimes. When we arrived in Buffalo, my dad met up with us in his old car and got us a big pizza from my old job. We've been inseparable ever since, and are married and have kids now. She's still cracked at Halo 3 and will duck you up. Life's good. I saw her dancing her heart out in Spyro the Dragon 1C at a music festival and thought she was super cute and loved her energy. We caught each other's eyes and I said I loved her 1C. She lit up and said thanks. I brought extras. Do you want to borrow one? I said absolutely, so she brought me back to her friend's little camping area and handed me a Charmander 1C to use. We spent the rest of the weekend together and we've been basically inseparable ever since. This was around 8 years ago. We have a kid and pretty dope life together. She's super outgoing, energetic, a little loud, and chaotic in an extremely charming way in my opinion. I'm pretty chill, quiet, introspective, and grounded. We really round each other out in a beautiful way, and we very much appreciate one another for our differences. We're definitely a vibe. I love her dearly. I'm a crafty guy. I'd regularly post my 3D prints and projects on Instagram. She reached out to hire me to make her some custom tools she wanted for her job, massage therapist. We knew of each other from high school, though it had been about 10 years since. I determined the best way to make these custom tools would require molds of her thumbs to sculpt the tools around. She came over and we hit it off. IDK how? It was September 2020. I put on weight during lockdown. We were wearing masks. I was having difficulties with the silicone that I hadn't used before, and I was nervous, sweating like a lobster. We hung out a few more times while I was making them. Our third hangout, she brought her massage table over to work on a nasty knot in my back. We were both clearly smitten with each other, but I didn't want to ask her out while I was working for her. In fact, I never actually asked her out. After I gave her the tools, which were beautifully crafted, there was a moment where I felt she had set me up perfectly for a kiss. So I responded in kind and there were fireworks. We decided that would mark the start of us dating. One of the best nights of my life. We worked together. She broke up with her boyfriend of 3 years. My introvert brain said waiting 6 months before asking her out was the right thing to do. 2 months in, we both close our store and both end up at the same gas station filling up after work. She sees me at the next pump and goes, "Hey, are you ever going to ask me out? I like you, and I feel like you like me." 19 years together, 15 married in April. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.